My fellow wargamers, Greg and I come to you tonight here in the executive suite of Little Wars TV headquarters, located high atop the Marriott Hotel in downtown Lancaster.
It does feel like there should be music playing right now.
Right.
Bum bum ba-dum bum ba-dum ba-dum ba-bum bum.
Anyhow, our immense egos aside, it is Saturday afternoon. We've been at Historicon all week, and we'd like to take some time to talk about all the fantastic stuff that we saw and did this weekend.
Now, when you say all the fantastic stuff, this is the point where we put the disclaimer at the bottom. Because there were over 650 registered events, and I'm told that there were actually quite a few more that didn't even make it into the print listing of the book. So there are a huge number of games that happened this weekend, and I don't know, I mean, what did we see, like 30% of them, maybe?
Oh yeah, it would be difficult to get around and see all the games and still find time to be social and do some shopping and have lunch and a beverage with your friends.
No, but we definitely saw, I think, some pretty special ones. The first one I want to talk about is one that, I mean, I think everybody who came to the show couldn't have missed, because the moment that you came in through the side door off the street here, there was a 9-foot-long, custom-built hippodrome.
I'm Mike Konwinski.
And I'm Gordon Andrews from Five Guys and a Lawyer.
And we're from the Toledo area, and we are running Roman Circus 3 here at Historicon. We built that hippodrome, put it on hardboard, put sand on it, and then we built the walls and added the stands, and there's approximately 2,700 spectators in that stands of that hippodrome. The mechanics are simplified for ease of play. Most of the games we run have approximately 16 players. We play a minimum of 4, and we can accommodate up to 32 players in it.
What we do is we award at the end, obviously, a winner's golden laurel that goes up. But there's also a $1, we put a $1 entry fee into this. So the winner takes half the pot, second place gets their portion, and third place gets their portion. You put a bounty on somebody and you take them out, or somebody takes them out, they win the bounty. By doing that, now you got skin in the game. So it kind of changes the whole way you're going to play this game.
Roman Circus 3 is available through Wargames Vault. We also have a downloadable track that you can have printed. We also have chariots available for those that can't get the metal chariots.
And future plans for the game, we're talking about forming leagues around the country. So what you can do is you can play in a game here at Historicon. Let's just say that your guy does really well and gains an attribute. That goes into a central database where those stats are now transferred to, say, NashCon or Hurricane or whatever.
We saw a lot of spectacular games. A gargantuan, we say 3 tables, but it was probably a total of 12 tables to get the giant 54mm Pickett's Charge game out.
Yeah, Jim Perkey last year, if you remember, at Historicon ran Khartoum, which we featured on the channel. We had an interview with Jim at last Historicon, if you want to go back and watch that video. But yeah, his Pickett's Charge setup was pretty impressive.
It was indeed. And we saw games of all scales and all genres. Joseph Block, who some of you who roleplay may know from Greyhawk Grognard, ran an ogre game in 6mm, got a chance to talk with him. There were 28mm, 54mm, 10, 12, you name it.
I think the smallest scale that I saw represented was the 2mm Strength and Honor game that was up there in the Lardy room for the Battle of Philippi. That was a huge table.
It was a massive table with these just big 2mm army blocks. And I know some of you are like, 2mm is way too small. We're not painting faces or buttons at 2mm.
No.
But the blocks are cast groups of figures, and when you have them in various formations on a large base, it really looks like large armies moving across the table. It really does.
I have to say, just like that whole section of Historicon, the Lard America section where they were running all of those games, the quality of those games I thought was really high. Some of the nicest looking tables that we saw this weekend were in that section, and I don't know if they really went all out because the Grand Poobah was here. But Richard Clark made the pilgrimage over from the UK, and he was mingling amongst his legions of loyal fans. Looked like he was having a really good time.
Tom Ewell from Del Val Gamers. We ran Grabner's Charge last evening, and this is the following days is the battle for the bridges, the British perimeters getting pressed in by Kampf Group Kneist and Brinkman. I've wanted to do Arnhem for quite a long time. You know, as you know, I have the Pegasus Bridge was one of my previous projects, and Red Devils. So I thought I would do a Bridge Too Far and the battle for the bridges. So I have I had a lot of buildings previously from Crescent Root, but I bought a lot of STLs from Sabotage 3D, WoW, and of course Gens. You know, I had a lot of resources to draw on. I needed to get some of our club members to contribute and do some painting. Mark DeUlysses and Scott Landis, and my task was the bridge. The bridge is entirely 3D printed. There's some plywood underneath. I'll dissect it a little bit here for you. I had to actually create that the 3D the concrete pylons that you see underneath the bridge there. The hills are all foam, sculpted terrain. I had to build the 3D models of the stairwells in the park. It worked out pretty well.
I've never seen anybody do the mirror trick before.
No, that's a first for me. But the effect cool. When you stood there and you look down the bridge and you see what looks like the rest of the bridge was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And his attention to detail. One of the backyards has a birdhouse on a stand.
I saw the birdhouse.
Oh yeah, there were the loose bricks laying in the street. All of that just really made it look like a town that had found itself in the middle of a battle.
Now, among the 650 plus events this weekend, our club did run a few games. Dave ran a couple sessions of a Lord of the Rings game for the Battle of the Fords of Eisen. Miles was very busy this weekend. I don't even know how many sessions he ran.
463.
It was like all weekend he was running sessions of his Russo-Japanese War campaign. He had a map up kind of showing the progression as the players kept fighting battles in the campaign. So he put on quite the exhaustive show.
There was a gentleman running a beautiful Raven Feast Viking raid on a monastery. Speaking of Viking raids...
Ooh, yeah, a real highlight game on Thursday. And the table itself, really impressive. I mean, the whole thing was trimmed in wood with runes burned into the wood. He had these little Viking, like Norse god statuettes in the corner. I don't know if you noticed those.
Yes.
The table. He 3D printed them. I mean, even the table itself, he had a custom table skirt to go around the edging of the table.
Yeah, he went way above.
He went all out.
He got an award for that Thursday. He got a fellow award for that. Well, he should have.
My name is Brad Shivey, and I put on Ragnar's Raid at Historicon this year. 28 millimeter Viking raid in a Saxon village. What we did was we used Battle Lust for the rules for the game this year. The reason we use those rules is it's very interactive. So you have a attacker, but the defender can choose to either counter-strike or block or dodge. So what takes place in a convention is everybody's interacting. So no one has to just sit and watch me cut through all of their levy. We thought it would be exciting because we have 4 crews of the Viking ship, and what they're trying to do is grab as much loot as they can. What we did was every single thing on that board is interactive. Every barrel, every pig, every piece of livestock, every villager has a point value. What we do at the end of the game is we have prizes, chocolate, gold, gifts, different things for everyone who participates and is most successful. We're very proud about the display. We're very honored to have won an award, because to come to Historicon and be recognized for the level that the game club put together, I mean, what an honor that is.
We did get to see someone get Game Master of the Year award, if I'm not mistaken.
We absolutely did. That was actually just a little bit by chance. We happened to be at the right place at the right time when HMGS came forward with the award. So actually there were multiple awards given for Brazen Chariots. One was Best Theme, and the other was, of course, Game Master of the Year, which is more than just Historicon. It's, you know,
right,
multiple conventions where you're running top-notch, top-shelf games. So very, very impressive. And the Brazen Chariots game at this show for the Desert Rats was pretty nice.
Yeah, always beautiful tables, and we're just glad we happened to be there at the right time to see that.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of showpiece games here at the convention, and honestly, it's one of the reasons I think people come to a convention. You know, you come to a big show like Historicon because you want to see games that you're not going to get a chance to see at your club.
Right.
Something really special.
The vibe here at Historicon is always fantastic. Everybody's having fun. People are here with their children. People have traveled from all over Kingdom Come. We talked to people from as far away as Nova Scotia and Manitoba, as far away as England and New Zealand.
Yeah, people come from quite a ways to get here. I mean, it's the biggest show in the United States for historicals, and I will say that if we're making kind of general observations, one that I've felt, this is purely anecdotal, and you and I haven't talked about this yet. Yeah, so I don't know if you agree with me, but I felt when I was here on Thursday is traditionally a very quiet day at the show. It was hopping on Thursday. Like Thursday and Friday, I thought there was a really strong crowd here. Today is Saturday afternoon. It's already kind of thinning out, which is a little surprising because traditionally in years past, Saturday was like peak day. Saturday is like the main day, and then Sunday is the day where the crowd starts thinning out. But it feels to me like everything's gotten shifted up, like the show is more front-loaded than it used to be.
That could be accurate. Maybe Saturday isn't really slowing down, but just Thursday and Friday are more hopping, so, but it's just an observation. I wanted to point out that we have an ever more diverse mix of people at the convention, and I'm going to credit YouTube, because YouTube is making not just gaming, but all sorts of content readily available. But in this specific instance, YouTube has provided an outlet for a lot of creative people in our hobby to put out videos on how to play games, how to paint minis, how to build terrain. And it's generated an influx of people into our hobby, which is just a great thing. And we saw that here this weekend. Lots of youngsters gaming. A young man came up to me yesterday in the dealer hall, wanted to show me the cool Vikings that he picked up, and he was super stoked to get them on the table, and I'm guessing he was 8.
Wow.
And really just, to me, that's
cool.
The whole point of all of this. Someone had made the comment that Historicon in some ways is just sort of a reunion for all us old guys who have been coming here for 20 plus years. But for Historicon to grow, those little guys who want to show you the box of Vikings they got or say hi because they saw you on YouTube, those people are who are going to carry us forward into coming generations. And I'm looking forward, a little luck, to stick around long enough to see all that.
Well, I think the other good news on the YouTube front is, you know, it's not just Little Wars TV. We saw other YouTubers who were here who have channels in the wargaming space. In fact, I was very interested. I got a little bit of footage when we were walking through the dealer hall a couple hours ago. There's a new podcast that's here that was actually live streaming a game. They had a very elaborate setup. Did you see those guys on the end? They had like 3 different overhead cameras all coming in on this. They had the whole computer rig there to live stream their show from Historicon. So that's awesome, you know?
It was fantastic.
Seeing all these content creators here who are putting out on social media that's what it's going to take for us to take this show from 2,000 attendees to 3,000 or 4,000 attendees.
Exactly. This is a fantastic venue. We've said that before. Some fantastic games. We saw some dinosaurs and adventures in Egyptian catacombs, a la Raiders of the Lost Ark. There were a variety of beautiful air combat games, some gorgeous naval combat games too that we saw, and just we're going to put a ton of pictures up.
So despite the wide diversity of games that were clearly here at the show, as always, the number one category for games is World War II. Another one of the really standout games that we saw was a bolt-action game in 28mm.
Hi, I'm Chris Johnson. My game today is Red October Factory Assault, which is out of the bolt-action Stalingrad campaign book. It's the Martin Oski shop. It's a game that I'd never seen anybody do out of the scenarios, and I wanted to do something more historic from my local club, and then it just evolved into something else. The layouts, it's a 4x6 layout. It's a large factory made out of styrofoam, and I had a Green Stuff World brick roller that I did about 17 feet worth of walls with, and then a whole lot of handmade bricks, lots of bricks. There's a busted T-34 on the battlefield that I was trying to recreate, a kind of a classic photo of a T-34 wrecked in a crater with a German mortar team underneath it, which I really wanted to incorporate. Yeah, so I decided to do 6 players, so 3 Soviet, 3 Germans. Yeah, almost every play test has been totally different. There's a whole lot of ways the Germans can get in, and a whole lot of things the Soviets can do to stop them, including hiding in furnaces, snipers. They have a culvert that they can pop out of for the reinforcements to come in and keep it interesting. So we played it last night. It came down to a draw in good bolt-action fashion, down to like the last dice.
Like we said at the very start of the video, I'm sorry that we weren't able to show you more. We probably captured like 2 hours worth of video clips and interviews when we were here, and it is really just scratching the surface. If you want the experience, if you want to see what Historicon really has to offer, the only way that you're going to get to do that is to come. So next year, the year after, whenever you think you can make it work in your schedule, if you're interested in getting into the hobby, or if you're already in the hobby and honestly you just want to be inspired, like you leave this show and you are inspired to go do some big epic project.
Oh, absolutely. And while you're here at the show and finding the inspiration, you go downstairs to the dealer hall or to Wally's Basement, the flea market, and buy the miniatures and the equipment and the paints and the terrain to build it all and get it out on your table. So, Greg, I think until next time, make sure to plan to come to Historicon. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
From the Presidential Palace, that's all, folks.